Yes, it's a rematch. It's not the same two teams because they're doing a ton of different things. What are the Chiefs up to today? I'm Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome in, everybody. Victory Monday is certainly in full swing as we get ready for Super Bowl 59, because Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to get into the action with the exciting play at FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and you're going to get $200 in bonus bets if that one wins. Download the app right now or head to FanDuel.com to get started. We're going to break it all down. A day removed from the elation of getting back to the Super Bowl. Now you got 4 quarters to get the job done. We're going to break it all down for you. This is Chris Clark, my partner over at City Chiefs Corner. I'm going to get there right one of these days. You can find him there and all his breakdowns. That, but it's the switching of the stuff. It's the rotation here. You know, just like orbit motions on the Chiefs offense, I will throw myself off. You can find me over at NFL33.com, RGR Football, and Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting. Check us out there, as my partner over there is going to be reporting from Mobile this week. We'll have a lot for you. We're not ready to get to the draft here on this show yet, though. We have a lot to cover. We're going to go over what's left in the bag for the Chiefs offense. That's coming up later in the show. Can this defense continue to keep this up for 4 more, maybe 5 more? You never know. On the defensive side, that's coming up next. But we start where it all begins, and that is Patrick Mahomes leads another team back to another rematch with the Eagles from 2 years ago. This is a common occurrence. 2 against the Eagles, 2 against the Niners. Same Patrick Mahomes. And if you want that much more information, you can get it from us on the text line at 816-357-8781. I find it interesting that people think that the fix is in because it's Eagles Chiefs again, like it was a couple seasons ago. I saw some of the same rumblings last year, but all the ref stuff I think makes it just more potent this season. Patrick is Patrick, and he leads the way. It doesn't matter whether they surge at week 8 or week 12 and they get the bye and they're better after that, or if they wait this year, which feels like it was really, really long to like just get to the end of the season, take 3 weeks off and be like, okay, we're back to normal. Let's go. You know, it all revolves around Patrick leading this team.
It does. And you said something that I want to just comment on really quick. You said we're not getting to the draft here, and we're not, because we're back in this situation again where we're not going to touch on the draft for at least another probably 3 weeks. Reality is Super Bowl is here. That's where the Chiefs are headed. And what can you say? I mean, it's all about Patrick. You're right. It's absolutely all about Patrick. It's all about what they like to do on offense, the things that they haven't shown, which we'll talk about later in the show. And there's a big couple of things there that we need to talk about. But the reality is step back and look at where you are as a Chiefs fan, looking at what this team has done. They have been to 7 straight AFC Championship games. They've hosted 6 of those 7. That's crazy in and of itself. They're going to their 5th Super Bowl in that 7-year stretch. 6 years, but in that 7-year stretch, they're going to their 5th Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes has a chance to win his 4th Super Bowl and his 4th Super Bowl MVP. Yeah, this is just crazy. And you and I started a podcast 8 years ago, and we're sitting here. This is year 8 for it. Well, no, sorry. This is year 9 for us podcasting, because we did podcast a year before we started Locked On.
True.
So, yeah, check with me if you really want to go back. Yeah. If you really want to go back, check with me is what it was called. And it was just audio back then. But the reality is this is special for the Chiefs, but the whole thing. So I think Cole from How About Them Chiefs actually tweeted this out. It was a graphic showing all the QBs that had won and what their records were in the playoffs. Tom Brady is number 1 with 35 wins. Okay. Everybody knows that he is the best quarterback. Everybody wants to call him the greatest of all time. Whatever, that's fine. Joe Montana had 16. Patrick Mahomes, with the win last night, passed him and is now at 17. Why is that crazy? Because he's played in 20 playoff games. 20. He's got an 85% win percentage in the playoffs.
This is where I feel for the other fans that hate the Chiefs and seeing them win so much. This is where I feel for them because it makes me laugh. It's so ridiculous, right? And so now you get the number 1, 2, and 3 quarterbacks in that order, and it is Patrick, Joe, and then Tom. I'm just saying it, Tom. We can talk later. To put them all back to back to back, that is so unique and so special beyond special. Like it's almost unfathomable if you're not a Chiefs fan just how good this guy is.
Well, and it goes further because Tom Brady played in 48 games to win 35. His career layoff percentage is around 71%. Mahomes, and let me back up for just a second. Peyton Manning, who most would say is probably a top 5 quarterback all time, or at least you would make an argument he's a top 5 quarterback of all time. He only had 14 wins in the playoffs. He played 27 games to get those 14 wins. His playoff winning percentage is 51%. Mahomes would have to lose his next 15 games
to match Peyton Manning.
To match Peyton Manning.
That's crazy.
Or to get close to Peyton Manning. And Tom Brady, greatest of all, a lot of people will say greatest of all time, 35 wins in 48 tries. 71%. Mahomes would have to lose his next 6 playoff games to have a playoff percentage that low. It is absolutely insane. Nobody is even close to 85%. The next one under Patrick Mahomes is Terry Bradshaw, and I think he has 14 in like 20 or 19 or 20, so he's like around 73%, so he's a little bit above Tom Brady, but just barely. But everybody else is nowhere close, and he's not even 30 yet. Or he
verified air.
His 8th season. This is
it's nuts. And now you get him on a roll. You get the Eagles again. You're going back for another one. That stat alone should put him at the top of the GOAT list. Now, I don't care what New England fans have to say. It's really not arguable anymore. They win this next 4 quarters, and it's over with. He's at the top of Mount Rushmore, and it's done.
Yeah, 4 Super Bowls in 6 tries. Tom Brady couldn't get back to a third. He won 2 in a row, couldn't get back to a third. Mahomes has already done something Brady couldn't. Right. And for all the people that want to talk about Tom Brady beating him twice, once in the AFC Championship game, his first year starting, to be clear, and second in the Super Bowl, which wasn't really on Mahomes. If you go back and watch that Super Bowl, it is all offensive line. They could not block anybody.
Yeah. It's tough. And the argument will go on, and we're going to have it on and on because, we're going to have to talk about something after they bring home another trophy. So we're going to get to that. But the task ahead is very clear. Can the defense hold up for the next 4 quarters, maybe plus if you have to go to overtime, especially against these Eagles that have come roaring on to get to this point as much as the Chiefs have? We're going to get to that coming up next. Super Bowl 59 is here, and your Chiefs are in it. 1 game, 2 teams, endless possibilities. And there's no better place to make every play more exciting than FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get into the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff till the final whistle. Live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field. The app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, that's icing on the cake. Download the app right now and head over to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets back on your account. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 59. This is going to be a great matchup. If you want more insight, or if you're one of our everydayers, we couldn't do it without you guys. Make yourself an everydayer by getting subscribed on this and multiple platforms if you like, so you'd never miss anything. They are here for us every single day like we are here for you. Make sure that you do that and check out another Locked On show because they do it all too. We are everywhere. And when you take a look at this matchup, the other thing that's everywhere is the Eagles didn't start hot. When you go back, they're one of the few teams that lost to the Atlanta Falcons this season. And it was a very slow start. They found their groove. That's certainly true. But they had to push to get it. 3 regular season losses. One that they just avenged against the Commanders. Good for them. But that doesn't make me scared. It makes me cautious. You got to have a healthy respect for him. And it comes to the defense first. When you're looking at this matchup, and this is just our first look, we have to build off of what we saw yesterday. And that was a defense by the Kansas City Chiefs that put up all kinds of numbers. Pressure was the name of the game. Josh Allen took a healthy amount, let's say, 34 dropbacks yesterday that I think count as actual pass attempts. That's perfectly fine. You can call it what you want. According to some stats, the Chiefs put up somewhere between 22 and 26 pressures on the day. That's the best output they've had in probably 2 seasons, given you're counting 34 dropbacks. That's nuts. Chris Jones led the way with 8. I argue that without him being shifted out to left edge, I don't think that blitz gets home yesterday. Chris Jones was the stirring the drink, whatever you call that straw. You can't go any farther than that, right?
Stirring the drink.
Then you know what I meant.
I know what you meant.
But can they do it again? That's the question.
We've been doing this long enough. I can kind of pick up what you're putting down sometimes. You look at this and it's crazy. This entire season has just kind of been turned on its head at times. Look at the past 2 weeks. Kansas City was not good at getting after the quarterback. They were not good at getting pressure. They were not good at getting sacks. They got 8 sacks against the Texans, and then they come back and they do what they did to Allen last night. And they didn't get home as much, but they got pressure, which is what's important.
Man, between Karlaftis, Dana, and Jones, we are talking 16 pressures. That's unfathomable. You throw in Charles Omenihu. Even Derek Nottie got a pressure last night. That's a good credit for Derek Nottie, who's been playing injured the entire season. This comes back to me, as I gave Spags my game ball last night. If you missed that live, we were a little bit late because that's what happens. You can go check us out with Matt Derrick. We were live last night. Spags is getting this team, and the rest certainly plays a giant part in for them to raise their game now. So my question to you is, how much ceiling do they have left, particularly in the front 7?
It's tough. I'm sitting here looking at this. So to be clear, this is I was sitting here trying to find PFF's grades for last week when they played the Baltimore Ravens. Because to me, when you look at this, it's okay, did the Bills line play bad or are they bad? A lot of people say the Bills line is one of the best in the NFL. And to allow that many pressures, that says a lot going for Kansas City going into the Super Bowl. And really quick, I know we haven't talked about this, but it sounds like they got out of there injury free, and that is even bigger for this game going forward. But you look at that, and the Baltimore Ravens only had 11 pressures the week before. Chiefs doubled that, and the Ravens can usually get after the quarterback. They're not great, but they can usually get after the quarterback. So you bring up the front 7, and I think that's a great question, but I want to pull a little bit of an audible here and talk about something Spagnuolo did on a specific play. That 4th and 5 last night, I can't remember which player it was, is one of the offensive linemen for Buffalo, did an interview and said the entire game, Kansas City had been showing that they were going to be going from one place and sending from the other side. They'd been doing it the entire game. They'd be showing that they were going to go left and they'd be sending right. They'd been showing they're going to go right and they'd be sending left. What'd Spagnuolo do on that play?
Lined up left and he came from the left.
Yep. He did exactly what he hadn't done the entire game. And that's why it won, because they shifted the protection and they forced Josh right into where that they wanted the pressure to go. It was brilliant. And we're going to talk about what's left in the bag for the offense here in a couple of minutes. But this is just about as important when you start talking about the defense. I said this last night, and I'll say it again because it's that important. And to me, I think it needs to get across. You only get to quarterbacks like that. And I'm sorry, Jalen Hurts isn't on the same level as Josh Allen when it comes to mental capacity with the NFL football game. That's not a shot at Hurts. He's a great quarterback, but he's not on the same level as Josh Allen. You only get a quarterback like Josh Allen with blitzes that they haven't seen or doing things that are away from what your tendencies generally are. And Spagnuolo did it in the exact moment he had to be able to get after Allen in that moment, and it worked. And so you ask me what's left for this defense. Can the defense keep it up? I think so, because they're going to be going up against a Philly team that is going to allow a little bit of pressure. And the amount of pressure that they've been getting from all the defensive ends that are playing, and that includes Mike Dana, who had 4 pressures himself and a strip sack.
Yep.
From a guy that you didn't ever think was going to be a pass rusher. He was there mainly to be a run defender and, give you a little bit of pass rush. But that kind of game from a guy like that is huge.
It is. It's filling in the blanks, the gaps, the little bit more that you need to get the next win and the next win and stop a guy that I think, despite Jalen Hurts' ability to run, Josh Allen was the best quarterback not named Patrick Mahomes left in this particular playoff series. So I am not as scared of Jalen Hurts as I was of Josh Allen in terms of the run. So to be able to do that, to be able to contain rush enough to get those numbers, it sets you up. And I think a little bit more scheming can still deliver this. I feel like the defensive front, their legs are still fresh. That was a tough one, I'm sure, but now they get 2 weeks off. That rest is crucial. We've seen what that's done over the last 3 weeks.
It's going to be huge.
That's going to be epic. There's no way around it.
And
that's
going to be huge. Sorry, you asked about front seven. The other guy that isn't going to get any praise, and I get it because he didn't do it very often. Leo Chenal got a hurry on 33% of his pass rush snaps. He only, according to PFF, he only rushed 3 times. He got a pressure on 1 of those 3 rushes. Now, I bring it up because you go back and you said what you just said a second ago about getting stuff from guys that you don't expect to get it from. That's another one, and it just adds to another piece that gives you the ability to move things around and switch things up and make it to where the Eagles aren't going to know where the rush is coming from, which is what makes it unpredictable, which is what makes it possible that the defense can keep it up, because they're going to have to get after Hurts in this game. Obviously, we will talk a lot about this Super Bowl matchup, and they have to stop Saquon Barkley. But if you can get pressure on Hurts and you can cause him to make mistakes when he's throwing the ball, it's really going to help things. And I do think that Spagnuolo is going to have something dialed up specifically for Hurts and the tendencies. Now, I'm really going to be curious, how are they going to deal with the tush push?
They're going to keep him out of those situations. They're going to keep him out of 3rd and 2.
Right.
That's the goal. That's the number one job. It's also going to take some good defense from the secondary. We're going to talk more about them with Matt Derrick tomorrow, so make sure that you join us. And after this, we're going to get to what possibly is left in the bag after an inspired performance by Patrick Mahomes and Xavier Worthy, not to mention an offensive line that did better than we expected, at least for me. What's in there that they can still pull out and use in the Super Bowl? That's next. As a small business owner, your work doesn't end when the clock hits 5. Your business is always on your mind, which means it's time to hire. You need a partner that works just as hard as you do. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it free and easy to post for free on your profile with your network and get qualified candidates that you're looking for all in one place. So post your job. The new feature can even help you write job descriptions and then quickly get in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. And here's the pro tip. Add the hashtag hiring frame to your profile picture to double your reach to qualified candidates. No wonder 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn helps them find the high quality hires right away. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. And we're going to continue to break it down for you all week, as we always do as we get ready for this Super Bowl. There'll be a lot to it. But one thing that we don't want to go away from is taking stock of what just happened. And I do think there is upside left in this offense, particularly because the number one thing that I was worried about yesterday did not materialize. Joe Thuney did not give up a pressure at left tackle.
Crazy.
Kudos to him. Now, the man playing next to him, we'll talk about him probably tomorrow because he's going to have a hell of a hill to climb with one Jalen Carter coming up. But yesterday, you see what it does for the offense. It allows everything to flow. I think they're very good. Maybe the best first 15 script we've ever seen this season. I might even go back more than just this season for those 15 plays and how effective they were. That can't happen without the protection. So let's just say that they have a way to get through that protection. What's left? Where do they go next?
The whole Jalen Carter thing is going to be a big problem. We're going to have to talk a lot about that going into this next game and what they're going to have to do on the offensive line. What is next? What is left? So you and I talked about, and we talked about this before the playoffs started. We talked about this playoff weeks. If you guys have been listening to us, you've heard me say this, and I'm going to say it again. They have stuff left in the tank. They haven't been playing. They haven't been using everything that they have. And it was obvious last night that they have stuff left in the tank. You go back to the first 15, like you just talked about. What came out that we haven't seen all season, mainly because he's been injured? Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown came out and played and took over early in the game. Then they went away from him. So kind of curious about how that turns out and why that is. It was interesting because Brown had 43 snaps on 66 total snaps on offense. Right. So he played about 2/3 of the snaps. Xavier Worthy had 54 from a rookie. That's impressive. But that's not the one that really stands out to me, though. Juju Smith-Schuster, 38. Okay, so still about 2/3, a little less than 2/3. DeAndre Hopkins, 12. 12 snaps. Justin Watson had 11, if that gives you any idea how often DeAndre Hopkins was not on the field.
Yeah.
I think that plays a coincidence.
I agree with you, and I think that plays into something very specific. There's no one happier to be going to the Super Bowl than DeAndre Hopkins. He pulled out the whole thing that, hey, they traded me for pennies back in the day. He's got an axe to grind, and he's got something to show. Even if he comes back next year and we're all happy and there's 3 trophies in the case, and we're talking about maybe going back for a 4th time in a row, he still won't have a bigger stage than he has right now.
No.
And I think for him, that's critical. So in harnessing all of Xavier last night, and I do think there's a couple of things he can still tweak this season. Obviously, a full offseason program, he'll be even better. Rashee Rice comes back. That duo is going to be critical. But for Hop, I think it's saving for this game. I don't think
it seems like it.
And I think it's him and Hollywood. They're showing more Hollywood because I think they want everybody to think what most of the league thought, and that Hops is cooked and we don't need him. We're not going to use him. And then boom, in the big game.
I don't know if I agree with that. And I get where you're coming from, but I think what I'm looking at and how I'm looking at it is they used Hollywood so much last night because he's still trying to get back into shape. He's still trying to get back into playing football and getting used to playing football. I'm not saying he's not close to it right now, but I do think that it was an issue of he needs to get in football shape. He needs to be as close as he can be to 100% when you get in the Super Bowl. And the only way to do that is to have him go out there and run routes, 60, 70% of the time. And DeAndre Hopkins doesn't need to do that. He's been playing all season. And he knows the offense in Kansas City. He knows what Patrick Mahomes wants. Patrick Mahomes knows what DeAndre Hopkins is going to do. They are in a great spot. I do think if it got down to more of a situation where the Chiefs were getting desperate, Hopkins would have been on the field more. So I do think there's that. But I also am looking at this going, Andy Reid is holding stuff back. And perfect example of that is the 2 touchdown runs, or 2 of the touchdown runs. One by Kareem Hunt and one by Patrick Mahomes on the exact same design. Exact same. RPO.
Remember when I was talking about a full backfield and what it can do and what options go with RPOs and this formation, fulls and that, trips on that side? It's all compressed, I think, into the last 4 quarters and the next 4 quarters.
And I'm not sure, actually, that I think about it. Was it really an RPO or is it just a multiple option run? Because I don't know that there was really a pass element in that play.
I think there always is on the backside. Like, we'd have to look at it again.
Yeah. So the play set up, Travis Kelce is split to Mahomes's. Well, Travis Kelce and Noah Gray are split to Mahomes's right. Kareem Hunt's behind him. That's the way the play sets up. Gray shifts to Mahomes' right, so they are flanking Mahomes with Kelce and Gray. The first play, Mahomes looks at it. looks at the linebackers that are crashing and coming down, and hands off to Kareem Hunt, who runs a counter behind Trey Smith and Jawan Taylor, who were pulling. That's the first play, and that's a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And that was early on in the game. It was an 11-yard touchdown, 12-yard touchdown, something like that. Later in the fourth quarter, they come back and they run the exact same design play, but Mahomes holds it because the linebackers go with Hunt.
Right.
Only one. You had 3 linebackers go with Mahomes the first time. The second time, 2 linebackers, I think, went with Hunt because I just rewatched this play a little bit ago.
I'm rewatching it right now.
Okay. 2 went with Hunt and 1 stayed with Mahomes. Problem is, you have on the running play to Hunt, Travis Kelce and Noah Gray were doing the exact same thing. They're leading off to the right-hand side like they're taking off to either run a route or to block for Mahomes or whatever. They do the exact same thing, and Travis Kelce becomes the lead blocker. And I guarantee you, there was nobody more excited to see Patrick running behind him than Travis in that moment. There was no way anybody was stopping Mahomes from getting into the end zone when there was only one guy between Kelce and Mahomes. That's what Andy Reid does. They may have run something similar. I don't remember seeing that specific play design. I remember seeing the formation, but I don't think they ran that specific play or something similar to that play. But the point is, you run that type of play, you run that type of formation, and you have multiple different things you can do with it. So you show, and it goes back to what I said about the defense a couple minutes ago. You show early on, we're going to come left and we go right. We're going to come right and we go left. And on offense, it's, okay, I'm going to hand the ball off to Kareem Hunt. I'm going to get a touchdown. It's going to be an 11-yard run. Kareem Hunt doesn't do 11-yard runs, but it's a touchdown. And now, next play, nope, Mahomes is going to run it in. And that was his first game with 2 rushing touchdowns.
It's crazy. And I'm going to break this down in the film room over on RGR so you guys can check that out. Make sure you go get subbed over there. But this is what it comes back to. They had all their elements. They had a motion to identify coverage in both, give you a feel for where the strength of the formation on the defense is. And they had multiple lead blockers on either direction. It's the beauty of having formations that you can run multiple things out of with multiple outcomes. And they're just going to keep doing it. The next one will be a rollout pass, probably to a lineman, if I know anything about the way Andy Reid thinks. So
Jawan Taylor's going to get a touchdown.
He might. There are stranger things that have happened.
Or is it going to be Humphreys get a touchdown, or Kingsley Suamataia? How crazy would that be?
Oh, it'd be nuts. I'm not.
We go back. Sky Moore got a touchdown. Kadarius Toney's got a touchdown. Now Kingsley Suamataia could get a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Man, I like the way you're thinking. That could be it. We'd like to know what you're looking to see. So make sure you put your comments down below on YouTube.
I have one last thing. You said what's left in the bag in the offense. I said this last night, and we talked about it a little bit, but Juju Smith-Schuster had a huge performance. And again. And when you sit there and you look at it, Juju was on the field, like I said, 38 snaps, almost 2/3 of the snaps. Why that's important is I don't think he gets anywhere near that in the Super Bowl, but he's going to be the 4th wide receiver in the Super Bowl, because I guarantee you DeAndre Hopkins is going to be playing and probably playing close to 2/3 of the snaps. I would think that Worthy probably won't be on the field and Hopkins will be taking his place, and I'm fine with that because I think that you're just going to see the rotation. But there's going to be something that Juju is going to do in this game, and having him as the 4th wide receiver, when, if you think about it, going up against the Eagles 2 years ago in the Super Bowl, he was, what would you consider him? Was he the 1 at that point?
It could be in terms of performance, certainly the 2.
Yeah. I mean, wide receiver wise, he was either 1 or 2. I don't know. It really depends on how you want to quantify it, but he was easily the 1 or 2
for MVS. But it is what it is,
right? Well, I mean, and obviously their pass catcher is still going to be Travis Kelce, but that's not the case anymore. I don't think he's even pass catcher 1 on this offense. I think that's going to be Hollywood Brown, and maybe 2 is going to be on DeAndre Hopkins. Don't get me wrong, Kelce is going to get his, but I do think that it's different right now because Kelce doesn't care about his stats. All he wants to do is win. He doesn't care. He's caught the touchdown passes in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
He's had big games in the Super Bowl. He wants to get those boys. He wants to get his boys their rings. That's exactly what he wants. Obviously, he wants one for himself, but he wants to go get him. He wants to go get those rings for the guys that don't have them yet.
Yeah, and it's history. And I think he, much like DeAndre Hopkins said last night after the game, he's there to draw coverage, to make defenses respect them so everybody else can feast.
You said, I wish I would have said this earlier, DeAndre Hopkins' talk after the game shows how much he doesn't really care about his stats.
Right.
It's not about him.
Nope.
He wants this so bad because he wants it just because he has played his entire career. This is his biggest chance. And the thing that you have to love about Hopkins, and I've said this ever since the Chiefs got him, he catches everything thrown his way. I guarantee you there's going to be a play in the Super Bowl where he's going to make some kind of catch that is just ridiculous because that's the type of play he makes. Yeah. And all he cares about is winning. He's not going to care about his stats. He just wants the ring.
Well, I think he has a chance to get some stats. I think he'll be a big part of my game plan. You guys will hear that as we get closer next week. But we're going to continue to break this down. Matt, Derek will join us again after being back with the team for a little bit, giving us that insight. Make sure you're with us. We'll have it all wrapped out for you as we get closer and closer to Super Bowl 59. Make sure you like and sub and do the things you everydayers. Thanks for being here. Get on the text line at 816-357-8781. Check out our sponsors and all the other Locked On shows because they're all into off season at this point, except for that one show in Philadelphia. We appreciate you being with us today. Make sure that you're with us all week long because we are 5 days a week for free, all the way up through and after the Super Bowl. We will have a good one tonight, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.